If you hold a green card and you plan to travel outside the United States, stop what you are doing right now. There is a rule change that took effect on December 26th, and if you do not know about it, you could find yourself stuck at the airport, pulled into secondary inspection, or worse, facing questions about whether you even get to come back home. This is not a drill. This is one of the most important travel updates for green card holders in years, and thousands of people are still walking into airports completely unaware. Before we go any further, I need you to do one thing. Look down at the subscribe button right now. Not in 5 minutes. Right now. Because this channel is the reason people find out about changes like this before they become problems. Hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell because we post updates like this every single day and you cannot afford to miss the next one. This is US Visa Info, your #1 source for the latest and most accurate immigration updates. Today we are covering everything you need to know about the new US green card travel rules that changed on December 26th. We are going to break down exactly what changed, who is affected, what you need to carry, what could go wrong, and what you need to do right now to protect your status. Stay with me until the very end, because the last section contains a mistake that could literally cost you your green card, and most people have no idea they are making it. Let me tell you something right from the start. The US government did not send you a letter. They did not call you. They did not email you. They changed the rules, posted them in official government documents, and assumed you were paying attention. That is why channels like this one exist. So let us get into it. Starting December 26, 2025, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security officially activated a brand new mandatory biometric entry-exit rule. This is not a pilot program. This is not a test. This is a nationwide requirement that applies to every single non-US citizen entering or leaving the United States, and that includes you if you are a lawful permanent resident, a green card holder. Effective December 26th, every time you cross a US border, whether you are flying into JFK, driving across a land crossing, or boarding a ship at a seaport, you will be photographed and scanned using facial recognition technology. This is the new normal, and it is happening right now. Here is what changed and why it is such a big deal. Before December 26th, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, also known as CBP, was already collecting some biometrics when people entered the country. But the system had gaps. First, there was very little tracking of people leaving the United States. Second, certain groups were completely exempt from biometric collection, including children under 14 and adults over 79 years old. Both of those exemptions are now gone. Every non-citizen, regardless of age, is now subject to facial recognition at entry and exit. The old rule had holes. The new rule does not. The Department of Homeland Security was very clear about why they are doing this. The agency cited national security concerns, terrorism prevention, visa overstay tracking, and document fraud as the main reasons for this expansion. CBP will now photograph your face when you arrive and when you depart. That live photo gets matched against the image in your passport, your visa, or your green card. If there is a mismatch, an alert gets triggered and you will be pulled aside for further inspection. The system is designed to close information gaps, and according to DHS, it will now create a more comprehensive travel record for every non-citizen in the United States. Now here is why this matters so much specifically for green card holders. This is not just about a photo being taken. Pay close attention to this part. The travel record that this system builds around you directly connects to two things that could impact your future in a very serious way. First, your naturalization eligibility. If you are on the path to U.S. citizenship, you need to demonstrate continuous residence and physical presence in the United States. This new biometric system now creates an official, government-verified record of every single time you leave and every single time you return. Any gaps, any extended absences, any patterns that raise questions will now be permanently documented and accessible to USCIS when you apply for citizenship down the road. Second, this system will be used to assess abandonment of permanent resident status. We are going to dig deep into that in just a few minutes, and it is the part that is sending green card holders into panic mode right now. Quick question. Are you subscribed yet? Because missing updates like this could literally cost you your green card. The people who lose their status are not always the ones who did something wrong. They are often the people who simply did not know the rules had changed. Hit that subscribe button right now so that never happens to you. Now let us talk about who is affected by these changes, because this goes much wider than most people realize. Whether you are a green card holder who travels once a year to visit family, a business professional who makes frequent international trips, an elderly parent who spends part of the year abroad, or a conditional resident who is still building a life in the United States, these new rules apply directly to you. There are an estimated 12.8 million green card holders living in the United States as of January 2024. Every single one of them is now subject to mandatory biometric screening at every U.S. port of entry and exit. But here is the part nobody is talking about enough. A second major change happened in late November 2025 that directly affects green card holders from 19 specific countries. USCIS issued a policy memorandum on December 2, 2025, placing a comprehensive hold on pending benefit requests and ordering a full re-review of already approved green cards for nationals from these countries. The countries where green cards are now under active re-examination include Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Those countries face a full suspension of new entries. A second group including Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela faces partial restrictions with stricter requirements. If you are from any of these countries or know someone who is, this is extremely time-sensitive information. Let us get into the specific details and numbers because this is where it gets very real. If you are a green card holder and you leave the United States for more than 180 days, which is about 6 months, CBP has the legal authority to treat you as an arriving alien rather than a returning resident. That means instead of being waved through the green line, you can be stopped, questioned, searched, and placed in secondary inspection. An officer can question whether you ever truly intended to permanently live in the United States. If you have been outside the country for more than 1 year without getting a re-entry permit before you left, that is an automatic legal basis for CBP to deny you entry as a returning resident. Not a maybe, not a possibility, an automatic basis. A re-entry permit is filed using Form I-131 and it must be applied for and biometrics must be collected while you are still inside the United States. You cannot apply for it from abroad. The permit is typically valid for 2 years on the first issuance. After that, renewals are granted for only 1 year at a time, and you must show a compelling reason to still be abroad. The total time you can spend outside the U.S. using back-to-back re-entry permits is generally capped at 5 years, and even that is not guaranteed. Do not assume that having a re-entry permit is a free pass. It is a shield that reduces risk, but it does not eliminate it entirely. Now let us talk about the enhanced scrutiny points, because this is what is actually happening to green card holders at the border right now in 2025. CBP officers have broad legal authority to assess whether you have abandoned your permanent residence, and under the current enforcement environment, they are using it aggressively. Officers will review your complete travel history, meaning every entry and exit on record. They will look at your employment records and whether you have been working in the United States consistently. They have access to your IRS tax filing history and whether you filed as a U.S. resident or a foreign national. They will check your SSA records, meaning Social Security contributions from U.S. employment. They can cross-reference your USCIS file, your criminal background checks including dismissed charges, and even your prior statements from previous inspections. You will be asked about where you live, who you live with, where your furniture is, where your bank account is, whether you have a U.S. driver's license, whether you have health insurance in the United States, and why you were abroad for as long as you were. Officers have been known to request that returning green card holders voluntarily sign Form I-407, which is a formal legal document surrendering your permanent resident status. Do not ever sign that form without speaking to an immigration attorney first. Once you sign it, you are considered to have officially abandoned your green card. That decision cannot be undone at the airport. If you are getting value from this video, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications right now. We post daily updates that could save you thousands of dollars in legal fees and years of legal headaches. This is information that immigration attorneys charge hundreds of dollars an hour to explain. We are giving it to you for free. Subscribe and share this video with every green card holder you know. Now let us talk about the documents you absolutely must carry every single time you travel internationally. First, your valid green card, the physical I-551 card. Make sure it is not expired. If your card expired in the last few months, carry your renewal receipt notice from USCIS along with the expired card as proof of continued status. Second, your valid passport from your home country. Do not travel with an expired passport. Third, keep physical and digital copies of your most recent U.S. tax returns showing that you filed as a U.S. resident. This is one of the most powerful pieces of evidence you can carry. Fourth, bring copies of your lease agreement or mortgage documents showing a U.S. residential address. Fifth, carry recent U.S. utility bills or bank statements showing activity in the United States. Sixth, if you have a U.S. employer, bring a letter from your employer confirming your job and your expected return date. Seventh, if you were abroad for a medical reason, bring documentation from your doctor explaining the situation. Eighth, if you were abroad longer than expected due to an emergency or unexpected circumstances, write a brief letter explaining the situation and gather any supporting evidence like travel records, legal documents, or contractor communications. Keep all of this organized in a folder. Yes, a physical folder that you keep in your carry-on bag, not on your phone. Physical copies that an officer can hold in their hands. This documentation strategy has literally saved people from being placed in removal proceedings. Now let us cover the exceptions and special cases, because not every situation is the same. Students enrolled in programs abroad may have different considerations, but you still need to maintain your U.S. ties and file taxes correctly, or your status could be questioned. Conditional residents, meaning those who have a 2-year green card through marriage, face additional scrutiny because their status is already considered temporary by nature. If you are traveling while your I-751 petition to remove conditions is pending, carry your receipt notice. For elderly parents who divide their time between the U.S. and their home country, this is a high-risk category right now. CBP has been specifically flagging elderly green card holders who lack evidence of financial independence in the United States. If you are supporting an elderly parent with a green card, help them build a documentation file before any international travel. If your travel abroad was caused by a genuine emergency, like a family medical crisis, a death in the family, a natural disaster, or an unexpected legal matter in your home country, document everything. Keep records of hospital visits, death certificates, insurance documents, court records, anything that proves you did not voluntarily choose to stay abroad longer than planned. In one documented case, an elderly green card holder who was stuck abroad for nearly a year due to renovation regulations on her ancestral property was ultimately allowed back into the U.S. because she had her original return ticket, documentation of the delays, and proof of continued U.S. residence. Organization and transparency can make a life-changing difference. Join our community of over 15,000 immigrants who stay informed. Subscribe now and drop a comment below telling us where you are watching from. We read every single comment and your questions help us decide what to cover next. If this video is helping you, share it right now with someone who has a green card. You might be saving their life in the United States. Now let us go through the action steps you need to take. First, mark your calendar and audit your travel history right now. Count the number of days you have spent outside the U.S. in the past 12 months. If you are approaching 180 days of total absence in any single year, Do not travel again without consulting an immigration attorney first. Second, gather every document on the list we just covered and put it in a physical folder. Do it today, not before your next trip. Today. Third, review your tax returns and make absolutely sure you filed as a U.S. resident, not as a non-resident alien. If you made a mistake in a prior year, consult a tax attorney or CPA who works with immigrants. Fourth, if you plan to travel for more than 6 months, apply for a re-entry permit using Form I-131 before you leave. Allow several months for processing. Do not book a long trip abroad without this in hand. Fifth, if you are from one of the 19 countries of concern, consult an immigration attorney before traveling internationally at all right now, because your green card may be under active review. Sixth, never sign any document at the border without legal counsel, not even if an officer tells you it is routine. Form I-407 is not routine. Now let us talk about the most common mistakes green card holders make, because these mistakes are happening every single week and the consequences are devastating. The first mistake is assuming that having a valid green card is enough. Having the card in your wallet does not automatically mean the officer will let you in. Your behavior, your travel history, and your documentation all matter. The second mistake is traveling for extended periods without maintaining active U.S. ties. If you are abroad and not filing taxes, not using your U.S. bank account, and not keeping a U.S. address on record, you are creating a paper trail that says you do not actually live here. The third mistake is making inconsistent statements at the border. If you told an officer 3 years ago that you lived with your cousin in New Jersey and now you are telling a different officer you live alone in California, that inconsistency gets flagged. Officers have access to your full history of prior statements. The fourth mistake is signing Form I-407 under pressure. Some CBP officers present this form in a way that makes it feel like a formality or a quick way to resolve a situation. It is not. It is a permanent, irreversible surrender of your legal status in the United States. Never sign it without a lawyer. The fifth mistake is not having a re-entry permit for trips that go longer than expected. People plan a 3-month trip and end up staying 9 months due to circumstances beyond their control. If you already have a re-entry permit, you have a safety net. If you do not, you are at serious risk. Now let us talk about the timeline and what to expect going forward. The biometric entry-exit system is being rolled out in phases. As of December 26, 2025, implementation is beginning at major airports and will expand to seaports and land borders over the next 3 to 5 years. That means if you are traveling through a large hub like JFK, LAX, O'Hare, or Miami International, you should plan for extra time at both arrival and departure. Allow at least 30 minutes of additional time at the airport for the biometric check process. This is especially important during peak travel periods like holidays, when queues can stretch for hours. In terms of the green card re-examinations for the 19 countries, USCIS has not yet announced exact timelines for individual notifications. What experts are saying is that the uncertainty itself is the biggest challenge right now. If you are from one of the affected countries, the safest move is to get your documentation airtight and speak to an attorney. And here is where it gets important for the long term. The government is not slowing down. A proposal is already in the pipeline to expand biometric collection to virtually every immigration benefit application, including green card renewals, work authorizations, and naturalization cases, regardless of age, and the proposal includes fingerprints, photos, and potentially DNA collection. A new travel ban that took effect on January 1, 2026 adds more countries to the restricted list. Social media monitoring for visa applicants is being expanded. ESTA applicants will soon be required to submit selfies. The message from the government is clear. The days of light-touch immigration monitoring are over. The system is watching, and it is watching closely. Let me give you 3 key takeaways before we wrap up. Number 1, starting December 26, 2025, every green card holder must undergo mandatory biometric facial recognition scans at every U.S. port of entry and exit, no exceptions. Number 2, the records this system creates will directly affect your naturalization timeline and your ability to prove you have not abandoned your U.S. residence. Number 3, if you are from one of the 19 countries under green card re-examination, or if you have traveled extensively in recent years, now is the time to organize your documentation and consult an immigration professional. Do not wait until you are standing at the airport to figure this out. By then, it is too late. The deadline was December 26th, and this system is already running. Every trip you take from this point forward is being documented in a way it never was before. Protect yourself by knowing the rules and following them precisely. Subscribe if you have not already. Share this video with any immigrant who has a green card. Text it to your family members, post it in your community groups, send it to anyone you know who travels internationally. You could be saving someone from losing everything they worked for. Drop a comment below and tell us what country you are from and whether you have already experienced the new biometric process at the airport. We want to hear your story. Stay informed, stay compliant, and remember, your dream is possible if you follow the rules. This is US Visa Info, keeping you updated every single day.